is arising across the land. There is so much excitement in the heavenly realm. I have heard the angelic realm laughing. And when I asked God, what is it that I can hear right now? He said, it's the angelic realm that are laughing with the joy, with the anticipation of what it is that is about to break forth. You know, all of creation speaks to the goodness of God. We can have a look at Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that the people are without excuse. And of course, not Philippians, sorry, Jeremiah 1:11, we actually see Jeremiah the prophet being taught how to recognize and respond to the voice of God, even though he was called as a prophet from the womb, where God shows him an almond branch, and he literally says to Jeremiah, Jeremiah, what do you see? And Jeremiah says, I see the branch of an almond tree. And the Lord says, well done, you see well, for this is what I would say. And this is how God has been speaking to me over the last few months. I'm very excited. In 2020, so we're going back 5 years, I heard the sound of birds, and he's been talking to me through birds recently again, which some of you might find a little bit odd, but he does speak through all of creation. So he drew my attention to this sound, and it was the sound of the noisy minor bird. And it was so insistent, and so it was just nonstop that I ended up looking up what these noisy miners were all about. And in my investigations into the noisy miner, I found out that they are a very, very territorial bird. They would dive at anything that came within the territory. They were starting to take over the suburbs of Melbourne because so many of the trees had been removed from the suburbs. And as I did this investigation, the Lord started to talk to me about this territorial thing that had been dominating the airwaves, not only in Melbourne, but I would say Australia and maybe even beyond Australia as well. So I'm just submitting this to you for you to actually judge what it is that I think that I've been hearing over these last months. But what he showed me back then, and I actually wrote a prophetic poem around it, was that this territorial thing that he was showing me through the execution of these particular birds that were diving and attacking and driving out all of the other birds with the bird song that those other birds had, that this was happening because all of the trees had been removed. And for me, he was then saying, you know, it's those trees of righteousness. It's this whole thing where that there's been a removal of so many different people, so many different leaders. And then, of course, this territorial thing has come in, trying to silence the diversity of the sound, the diversity of the voice of the Lord across our land. And it was with incredible joy that I realized that God started to talk to me. It was a few months ago, and I was walking my dog, and all of a sudden I heard all of this joy from the lorikeets. I think it was lorikeets or the cockatoos, that the local wild birds in our area. It was all this chatter. And in the past, whenever I used to hear that, it sounded like slander and gossip. And it was interesting because it sounded slightly different, and it caught my attention. And I said to God, what are you telling me? What are you showing me through this sound? Because it actually made me smile. The joy started to rise up within me. There was this witness in my spirit to what it was that I was hearing in nature. And I heard very clearly, it's the angelic realm in laughter. They are so excited at what is about to come. Well, fast forward the next few months, as my husband Andrew and I would go on walks, and even when I was on walks myself, I started to notice the diversity of all these birds and this bird song. The magpies were coming back, and all of these other little birds. I've been looking up all the different birds, and I've been hearing the different song as we've been walking. It was so much different sounds that were happening around the area that we lived, and we've lived here for nearly 30 years, that even Andrew picked up on it. And he said, there's a different sound that's happening. I said, yes, God's been talking to me about this. And I said to him, I believe that what is actually happening right now and what the Lord has been showing me is that there is the voices, the new voices, the diversity of sound, the symphoneo of the kingdom of heaven is now being released across Australia. There is a rising and shining, this new sound. There's so many people that are emerging and saying, I do have a sound that I carry, and the Lord is asking me to release what it is that I am hearing. And it's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. It's the sound of kingdom. It's the sound of unity, regardless of diversity. It's the sound of authenticity. It's the sound of presence over performance. It's the sound of intimacy over platform. So there's so much actually to unpack it. He's been talking to me about the tall poppy for a long time too. And so I've been calling the tall poppies to arise and shine, for your time has come now. We need all hands on deck. So what he's actually been showing me is that there's this beautiful, diverse song that is now being released across our land. And it's actually, if you want to have a look so that you can start to get a real feel for it, no, actually he's saying don't go there. That's another prophetic insight that he gave me. But I want to encourage you here in Australia, especially in Melbourne, go for a walk and see if you can identify a whole lot more different bird songs in the area where you actually live. Start to become aware of it, because in the natural, there is going to be a whole lot of new voices that are going to be heard across our land. A whole lot of new prophetic voices are going to start to sound out and are going to cause shifts and changes to occur, because Australia actually carries a breaker anointing. We are a forerunner nation. We are yes, we're called the nation of we're down under, but we are foundational to the new thing that is coming abroad. It's a brand new sound that we carry, and it's actually not just us, it's the Anzacs, it's this whole region that God's been talking to me about. So there's this amazing, breaker sound. It's the Anzac spirit, where we break open where no one else has gone before, and we are breaking it open. I released this over some Bethel students about a year ago. We are breaking open brand new realms in the spirit for the entire globe. The sound is coming from down under. You have a look at it. There are Aussies that have been positioned all over the globe, and they are breaking things open in the area, in the sphere of influence into which they have been called. We're very authentic people. We are all quite humble people primarily. We tend not to draw too much attention to ourselves. Most of us, not all of us, most of us tend not to. We just tend to get in and get the job done. But look around and see there are a lot of Aussies that are actually putting their shoulder to the work and saying, let's break this thing open. We can feel it, we can sense it, and that is coming. There's a sound that is coming from the land. There's a sound that's coming from our nation, and I can see it and I can hear it through the sound that's being released through the bird song at the moment in Melbourne, Australia. Some of the ways that you will be able to identify those that are carrying the new sound, those that are now starting to sing the new sound of the Lord, because it's the new song that will break forth the new day. So that's scriptural. He often sings over us to break open new things. And what's beautiful was I saw, now we're in the middle of wintertime, a cold wintertime at the moment in Melbourne. And it was only last week, Andrew and I, again, we were on our walk, and I saw a mother bird flying to a nest and feeding her young. And I said, that's crazy. Birds do not normally take care of young in the middle of wintertime. It's just too cold. And I said to God again, what are you showing me, Lord? What are you telling me by drawing your attention? We've been enjoying this beautiful symphony of sound as we went on our walk from all of the different bird song that we could hear. And he said to me, one of the identifiers will be that those people have just been busy getting on with feeding the next generation. They've been getting on with equipping, empowering, and training the next generation. Even though they might have been been, the territorial thing might have been trying to quench them. They've gone, Lord, I'm just going to stand up and do what it is that I can find for me to do right now. And although they might have been rejected by a variety of spaces, they've just gone, well, you know what? I'm just going to go where the favor is. I'm just going to keep on doing what it is that God is asking me to do. Many have been cave dwellers, many have been hidden, but they have been training and equipping and empowering and encouraging the next generation for years. I would say for decades. For decades. I know some that have been doing it for decades. So I'm excited at what is happening across Australia. I'm actually excited for what's happening across the globe. I love James Gold's recent initiative, pray for the prophets. We need to be praying for the prophets, for them to be protected, for them to flourish, for them to have finances to be able to pay for what it is that they're called to. I love the initiative that he's doing. So check out what he's actually doing too. There's a call to an international day of prayer for the prophets that's happening in a week's time as well. Also, I am actually, I want to talk about this very briefly as well, even though I'm throwing it on at the end of this. My doors to Prophetic Mastery are open as well. Check it out. It's not the reason I came on today, but check it out. That is a space where we are creating a safe environment for the diverse ones. We've got a lot of fivefold in our community, to be perfectly honest, that are training and being equipped in the prophetic because they find it a safe environment. We empower, encourage, equip, and then deploy. We've got mystical ones that actually see and hear and feel and know things in quite a different way to the average believer, and they don't quite know where they fit. And I thank God for the fact that they are still willing to keep on showing up and keep on talking and keep on trying to learn. They're trying to find somewhere that's safe. Hey, Angela, it's so good. Oh, you heard a different bird song this morning. The bird was singing so beautifully that I became aware of it. Okay, so I love that. Thank you for that confirmation, Angela. Lean into that. Start to talk to God about it. It's very different from anything that you've heard for a long time. That's the new song. That's the new song that God is releasing. It's so exciting. I've been waiting for it since 2008 when I was calling to the church, get out of the box, get out of the box, get out of the box, go forth, get out there and just release the goodness of God. The knowledge we need to be releasing the knowledge of the goodness of God. The glory of God will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. Anyway, I'm going on another track. It's a bit of a pet track, that one as well. But I love the fact that he's been talking to you this way, Angela. And yes, Romans 1:20 is confirmation that we can actually hear through nature. God speaks to us by drawing our attention to things as we go about our day. You can see Moses with the burning bush. We can see Jeremiah with the almond tree. And there are a multitude of other areas. Don't forget that Jesus, would point to different elements of nature and talk about the different elements of nature prophetically as he was communicating the Father's heart to those that were listening to him. Anyway, enough from me. Check out what we're doing with Prophetic Mastery. I would love for you to join us. We're a diverse bunch. I love the fact that there's a group of the crew that are gathering together and having breakfast together and chatting and talking and having a wonderful time here in Melbourne. But people in America have been catching up together as well, and we've got people in Canada and Europe and Amsterdam, just all over the place. New Zealand is so exciting, and it just warms my heart to see them growing and flourishing in all that it is that they are called to do, and then going into the sphere of influence into which they are called to arise and shine, because their light has come. Deep darkness might cover the earth, but our but has to be a massive but the glory of the Lord. So there are treasures that are hidden in darkness for us to discover and find and to release out into their purpose and their destiny in this day. We need all hands on deck. So let's just step into what we're being called to. It's going to give us the greatest greatest joy if we do, because we'll be stepping into the purposes that God has created for us, that He foresaw for us before the beginning of time. Anyway, enough from me. If I've got enough time, I'll come on tomorrow and keep on having a chat about it. If you haven't already subscribe to Verve Ministries. You'll get some free resources there. I'll be releasing more details about some of the prophetic words that I'm hearing, and you can pop onto my website. If you go into God stories, into that tab, there's a little magnifying glass, and you can go into there and put in prophetic word, and you'll find some of the prophetic words. Poppies stand tall is one of them. There's also wild ones emerge. It's about the new breed of prophet that is arising. There's another one called legislators arise, where we are not called to be broadcasters of the news, especially not the bad news. We are solutionists. We are solutionaries. We are called to arise and shine and release and legislate the purposes of the kingdom of heaven. So it's our words that create realities. So our words have to be garnished with the truth, and they must be absolutely smothered in the love of the Father. Anyway, enough from me. Angela, it's so good to see you in this space. Much love to you, my friend. You are such a loyal one jumping on. So it's just beautiful to see you there in YouTube.